Remember when finding new music meant flipping through records, buying magazines for charts, hiding your phone on the dance floor while shazamming the newest banger, or searching online for tracklists and IDs? Well, today, Spotify tells the majority of people what they will like. TikTok shows you what's trending. So, music discovery has changed radically. So, the question is, who's actually digging for music? Before streaming and algorithms took center stage, discovering new music was largely a human-driven adventure. Music journalism and magazines shaped entire genres. Each scene had its own voice, for example, Mixmag for UK rave culture, Groove for Berlin techno, The Source for golden era hip-hop, and of course Pitchfork, the blog that became a cultural tastemaker. A good review could make a career, a bad one could bury an album. These weren't just magazines, there were filters, curators and communities. In these times, finding music was an active, mostly physical experience. Enthusiasts would spend hours flipping through vinyls at record shops or flea markets, hunting for hidden gems, or swapping CDs with friends. DJs or record store clerks served as trusted guides, sharing mixtapes or personal recommendations that introduced listeners to fresh sounds. And radio was king as discovery platform. For decades, many people's first exposure to new songs came from DJs spinning tracks on air. This era of digging and human curation required active effort and passion. It took time and effort, but in return, you built taste. You didn't just consume music, you connected with it. The limited collection you had were kind of expression who you are or trying to be. The rise of streaming services has dramatically changed how we discover music, shifting much of the curatorial role from humans to machines. Spotify, YouTube, TikTok all provide personalized recommendations, auto-generated playlists, and endless "if you like this, try that" suggestions powered by data and the use of algorithms. They analyze your listening history, skip rate, mood, genre. Platforms build a profile of your taste. In other words, the machine's curation often succeeds at mimicking a knowledgeable friend who knows your taste. Streaming platforms haven't eliminated human creations. Many still offer editorial playlists curated by actually people or DJs. But the trend is clearly shifting towards more automation. Spotify itself has been shifting in recent years from heavily promoting human-made playlists to leaning on algorithmic personalization. Spotify feeds you a steady stream of suggestions. Discover Weekly, Release Radar, Autoplay, Daily Mixes. I mean, it works really well. You find music you like without even actively searching for it. But here's the catch. If you're only being shown music that's similar to what you've already liked, are you really discovering something new, or are you stuck in a loop?
You know, the stuff with music nowadays is that you need to adapt, and adapting nowadays means you need to be very present on social media, whether you like it or not. I'm trying to be like in between sarcastic, ironic, and serious. The stuff is, I don't take myself seriously, but I take music very, very seriously.
Beyond dedicated music apps, social media algorithms have also become powerful music discovery engines. For Gen Z in particular, platforms like TikTok or Instagram often eclipse traditional avenues of discovery. A recent industry survey found that for listeners aged 16 till 24, TikTok now is the #1 way to discover new music. So, social media has replaced the radio function. In other words, a teenager is more likely to find their next favorite song scrolling the For You page than scanning the radio dial. TikTok's algorithm can propel a 10-second clip of a song into a viral trend, sending obscure tracks to the top of the charts overnight, without a label, a press release, a radio campaign, a review, or a DJ actually playing it. It's fast, it's chaotic. It's driven by the algorithm and not by intention. These algorithm-driven social platforms have become the modern equivalent of a radio DJ, except the DJ is an impersonal formula that serves up what its code deems you will engage with. But the good thing is that at the same time, users themselves become curators, sharing tracks, building micro-scenes, reviewing forgotten B-sides. So in a way, the human touch is still here, just buried in the code. These new tastemakers build communities around niche genres or moods. In essence, the traditional music critic or DJ role has partially shifted to social platforms. This democratization means more music than ever is accessible, but it also means your discovery experience might be highly personalized and completely different from someone else's, for better or worse. One big change in behavior with algorithmic streaming is the rise of passive listening. Instead of actively searching for new music or assembling playlists, many listeners now sit back and let the recommendations roll. Spotify's autoplay and curated for you mixes mean you can have music continuously playing without ever choosing the next song. On the surface, this is incredibly convenient. It eliminates the labor of discovery by handing over to an AI DJ. For any mood, situation or genre, Spotify always has an answer. Another concern is the algorithmic bubble or echo chamber effect. Because algorithms feed you what they will think you will like, they can end up serving you a lot of similar sounding content, reinforcing your existing tastes. So the algorithms are homogenizing our listening habits. The problem is that you most likely don't even know the artist. Many people don't listen to albums anymore, they just choose a vibe. That's convenient, but it comes at a cost. People remember less of what they heard, they connect less with artists, and they are less likely to explore on their own. The algorithm is always there, always ready to choose for you. The suggested songs are at the same time most likely something that has good data, and small artists will have less and less chance to get into this pool compared to big names and labels. While platforms like Spotify rely heavily on algorithms to serve endless playlists and personalized recommendations, Bandcamp takes a radically different approach. There's no autoplay, no because you listen to this, listen to that, and no machine learning feed trying to predict your taste. Instead, Bandcamp puts the power of discovery back into the hands of the listener. You explore music by filtering through genre tags, browsing artist-run pages, following fellow fans' collections, or reading curated editorial content on Bandcamp daily. Even the Surprise Me feature is just a playful invitation to dig. And if Bandcamp is a record store where you can support artists directly, then Discogs is the global archive of music's physical past and present. Discogs began as a database, but it quickly expanded into what it is today, a massive community-built catalog of physical music. Vinyl, CDs, cassettes, promos, forgotten private pressings. If it exists, someone has probably logged it into Discogs. It doesn't curate or promote. It doesn't nudge you toward a sound. It lets you search, connect the dots, and dig. In 2025, we are seeing a counter trend. More people are going back to physical music, especially vinyl. Since 2007, vinyl sales have risen every year again.
Vinyl is getting more and more attention, and we see also a new crowd because it's one of the big points is that we're in a digital world where there's 100,000 Spotify tracks every day, and basically the vinyl world is limited to a certain quantity, and when you come to a record store, you're not on your phone, you're like taking your time in the physical world, listening.
Why are digital natives flocking to analog? Part of it is the desire for a more tangible and intentional music experience. You choose, not the algorithm. As one put it, collecting and playing records is a form of slow living, an antidote to the instant gratification of streaming. You can't just click to skip a track on the vinyl LP. You're more likely to stick with the music, perhaps reading liner notes or admiring cover art, engage with the album as a whole. This patience and immersion provide a much-needed mental break of the endless skip, scroll, skip of the online world. In a way, going analog has become a statement. Alongside that, we are seeing interest in curated radio shows, hand-picked playlists, and tastemaker DJs.
I love listening to things in full. I love listening to how an artist has made a whole record, because that's a full piece of art, and that's much more special than having to find individual tracks and just, desperately trying to find something that you like always. I think records, for example, are a great way to kind of return to that feeling, because you can take a record physically and put it on the turntable. Everybody knows that. Of course, it's coming back, vinyl's back in trend, that's amazing. But it does help with that, because you do have to manually change the record, flip the record, and you have to choose the record.
So, who's actually digging, human or machine? Honestly, it's not either or. It's about a balance. Algorithms are great at sorting millions of songs. They help you find what you like quickly, but they can't fully replicate surprise, emotion, or culture. The real magic happens when you combine both, I guess. Let the algorithm open the door, but walk through it on your own. Ask a friend, dig through crates, go to the record store, follow that weird playlist, go somewhere the data didn't send you. And the joy of discovery, that's something no algorithm can fully automate.